So hello and welcome back to the FPL Talk channel, and today we're going to look at players that you should avoid in your team. They might be overpriced, injury prone, bad fixtures, but we're going to look at multiple reasons and reasons why I don't think you should put these players in your team. Now, yesterday I showed you my first draft on FPL, so if you haven't seen it and want advice, make sure you go check out that video and do subscribe if you are new to this page, because we're going to have so much more FPL content coming. And please do leave a like on this video because we've got some great advice coming up. And yeah, without further ado, let's go and look at some of the players. We're going to go through goalkeeper, defenders, midfielders and forwards, so some in each position, and say why I don't think you should go for them. So let's go and look at the first player that I've got. So the first player is Jordan Pickford. Now 15.5% of people have selected him at 4.5 million. Now the reason I would avoid him is because last season Everton were awful defensively. Now yes, they've got Dyche as manager, who is going to solidify them more this season, but if you look at their summer signings, they haven't really signed anyone, to be honest, and by my calculations I think they're probably going to concede just as many this year as they did last year, and if they don't, then it'll be some sort of miracle, to be honest. So yeah, if you look at the other options at 4.5 million, I think Leno is far better off. The only thing saving Pickford is his fixtures. He's got Fulham first, then Aston Villa away, then Wolves at home, then Sheffield United away. So he does have a good fixture run, but if I was doing this, I would want to go for a defender, maybe like Patterson, who's 4.5 million, who I can rotate in and out of the squad more often. Because if I've got Pickford, I'm relying on him every week, and Everton do just tend to concede goals. He isn't the best. Well, he is a great keeper, but the defence in front of him and the 11 players in the whole squad generally just don't combine very well when keeping the ball out of the net, to be honest. So I wouldn't really go for Pickford. He's just not very reliable. And then also you've got a wasted transfer along the line when his fixtures get tough and you just can't keep him in the squad. So I think there's better options, and it's worth spending that 0.5 million more to get a better keeper who you just know, like Ramsdale. Ramsdale's got great fixtures, Arsenal, good defensive record, good amount of clean sheets. You know what you're getting, whereas I feel like people are getting too drawn into his fixture list rather than remembering that Everton aren't great defensively. So I would personally not go for him. Let's go and look at another player. So our next player might shock a lot of people. It's Trent AlexanderArnold. Now, you might be thinking, why on earth is he in this video? You know, he's so good at going forward. He might even be playing a midfield role next season. But for 8 million as a defender, I just think that is too pricey, honestly. I feel like if you go for an attacking option and you can spread your money around better, then I feel like that is the better choice to do. You know, their fixtures, Chelsea away. Now, Pochettino's first league game with Chelsea of the season, I think they're going to be right up for it. They've got Jackson, a new striker. They've also got Nkunku, and they're on a little bit of a rebuild. They haven't got Lampard anymore. They've got a manager who knows what he's doing. He's taken the team to a Champions League final, so I'm sure he'll be very good. And then they've got Bournemouth at home, which is a game I would want him for, to be honest. But then Newcastle away, Aston Villa at home, Wolves away, and then West Ham at home. So he has got okay fixtures, but I just can't fork out the 8 million for him, and that is why I would avoid him, just because it's too much of a financial hit on the rest of your team. If you want the likes of Harry Kane, Haaland, Salah, then 8 million in your defensive line is just too big of a hit. Now, if you want a Liverpool defender, Robertson's probably just as good to go for, maybe. I know he's slightly worse, but for 6.5 million, you save yourself 1.5 million, and Robertson's still on some set pieces, and he's got still a great assist record every season. He gets multiple assists, and you still have the chance of getting the Liverpool clean sheet. So I would probably favour Robertson or even Trippier for the likes of 6.5 million. I just feel like that 8 million mark is too steep to jump to for me. If you can fit him in your team, great, because he will get you returns, but I feel like overall my team is far better off without him. And 35.4% selected, so a lot of people are going for him, but for me, I'm not going to go for him. I recommend you spread your money elsewhere and, yeah, make better improvements. So let's go on to the next player. Again, if you have Trent in your team, I totally understand it, but I can't justify that price. Again, the next player is quite interesting. It is Ben White. Now, the reason why I say this is because we need to find out how Arsenal are going to play, because they've just signed Timber, who is a bit more of a natural right back probably than Ben White, for around 40-ish million. And Ben White was only moved there because Saliba played so well. So we need to see how Arsenal are going to set up. Now, for 5.5 million, he's 0.5 million more expensive than the other Arsenal defenders. I've got Zinchenko in my team because he's pretty much guaranteed to play no matter what as an Arsenal defender. Whereas if I have Benjamin White in my team, I don't know if he's going to start at centre-back. He might not play right-back. Also, there's a much more bigger rotation issue now because they've signed him. So I don't feel like going for Ben White is a solid choice. I would much rather go Zinchenko, Saliba, or go for Ramsdale in goal because Arsenal's fixtures are really good. Forest at home, Crystal Palace away, Fulham at home, Man United at home. It's a good start to the season for them. But again, for the 0.5 million extra, I don't think that jump is worth it because there's more nailed on Arsenal players who you can trust. Because if Ben White gets benched, he might get brought on and get you 1 point, and you don't want to run that risk. So I think you should go for players that are guaranteed to play against Saliba, Zinchenko, Ramsdale if you want an Arsenal defender. So yeah, I feel like he's slightly overpriced. If he was 5 million, I might consider him, but at 5.5 million, it's too much for me. So yeah, let's go on to the next player. Now on to the next player is Kevin De Bruyne. Now yes, I understand he is already injured, but that's not the reason why I've put him in this video. 5.5% selected. I don't know why you're going for him when he's going to miss the first few games of the season. You don't want to take 10.5 million off your team now. That is very expensive for a quality player, and you would expect him to be around that price, to be honest. 2 million cheaper than Mo Salah, actually. But the reason why I've kept him out is because I feel like Pep Guardiola his rotational risk is just honestly too much to have him in there. He was rested a lot in the Premier League because of his injury record and them needing him in the Champions League. And I just feel like if you're going to spend 10.5 million on a player, you want them to play every single game and have a good chance of getting your returns. Obviously, De Bruyne has a good chance of getting returns, but it's not guaranteed he's going to play every game, and he's missing the start of the season. So it's one of those. If you look at the likes of Saka, you've got Bruno Fernandes, Ødegaard, all cheaper than what De Bruyne is going to be. Now, if you want to go for a Man City midfielder, there's Grealish. You just don't know what Pep Guardiola is going to do this season. You never know what Pep Guardiola is going to do. But when De Bruyne is fit, I want to first of all assess how much he is going to play when he is fit in the Premier League, whether he'll be used in other competitions or not. But for me, I just don't feel like that much money, again, is worth spending on a player that is got injury risk and rotational risk, even though he is quality. So yeah, let's go on to the next player. Now the next player, I wouldn't necessarily say to avoid possibly at the start of the season, but it is Dominic CalvertLewin. Now, we don't know how Klopp is going to set up with his new signings. He's got McAllister, he's got CalvertLewin, he's got a lot of attacking options, and I'm pretty sure CalvertLewin didn't play in midfield for Leipzig majority of last season. I'm pretty sure he played off the right or on one of the wings anyway. So whether he does play in midfield and centre mid is to be seen. I'm pretty sure he will be, but we can't forget there's the likes of Curtis Jones still, who has been doing very well for England under 21s. There is also Harvey Elliott. There's Fabinho, Henderson. There's still a few midfielders. However, I do expect him to start. But as I said, I would be careful with all new signings simply because we don't know how they're going to adapt to the Premier League. And yeah, they've got some okay fixtures like Trent we spoke about earlier. Chelsea away, Bournemouth at home, Newcastle away, Aston Villa at home. He might ease him in, Klopp. We need to find out what he's going to do with him first before we go any further. 7 million. If I was going to go for a Liverpool midfielder and go for it, I would go McAllister. 6 million. Could be on quite a few set pieces, even though Szoboszlai could be, but I think McAllister might be more. I would save myself that million. But yeah, I feel like he's just one to be careful of. But if you select him, it's a good differential and it could actually pay off. And the final player of this video is Ollie Watkins. Now, he's coming in at 8 million, and for me, that is too steep. Yes, Aston Villa have been very good. They strengthened him throughout the summer, but that is just too much of a heavy-hitting fee. 15.5% selected. Yes, he's got Newcastle away. That's a tough first game. Then Everton at home, Burnley away, and then Liverpool away. So he's got those two fixtures in between that are okay. But for me, I just can't see the 8 million. I feel like this year on FPL, targeting those premium assets like the likes of Saka, Bruno Fernandes, we've got the likes of Rashford, Haaland, Kane. I don't feel like spending 8 million on Watkins is worth it because I feel like in FPL this year, we've really got to choose who we think the most expensive assets. We've got to think who the most expensive assets are, who are worth having. 8 million for Watkins. You look at the likes of midfield, 0.5 million more. Ødegaard. You've got the likes of Saka around that price. You've got the likes of, again, Fernandes around that price. I feel like there's better valued players. And I would rather have Trent AlexanderArnold in defence than Watkins if I was going to choose between one of them. But we need to see, again, I feel like Aston Villa could be very strong this year, but they do have that factor of Europe, and there may be fatigue there where they prioritise that, like West Ham did last season in the Conference League that I watched over, having these great players all the time in the Premier League. But again, Watkins, I'd be careful on that one. 15.5% selected. I feel like you could go for better options. I've gone Harry Kane and Haaland up front. I feel like distributing the money elsewhere for the third striker option is more important. But that is the video. Let me know what players you are choosing in the comments, and if you think that I'm wrong, let me know if you disagree in the comments, because I could be completely wrong. Again, Trent AlexanderArnold is probably one worth having, but please do leave a like on this video, and you can leave your teams in the comments and I will make sure to respond to it. Subscribe if you are new. I appreciate everyone new who is here, and I will see you in the next video.